Let's return to our top story and that breaking news that 8 pupils and a security guard have been killed in a school shooting in the Serbian capital, Belgrade. Police have confirmed that the gunman, a pupil at the school, has been arrested. 6 more young students and the history professor are seriously injured. Police say they are investigating the suspect's motives. Well, let's get more on this story and talk to our reporter Alexander Miladinovic, who is in Belgrade and following developments. Welcome to you. Tell us more about what we know about what's happened there.
So far we know that 8 very young students of primary school in Belgrade, one of the most prestigious primary schools in Belgrade, have been killed in a shooting spree of their fellow student this morning in a classroom during a history class. The gunman also killed a security bodyguard on the way to the classroom, where he shot multiple gunshots. It is for now still speculated where he got the gun from, and there are 6 more very young pupils from the same class, as long as there is also their history teacher, who are in different hospitals in Belgrade, still being treated for the wounds that they suffered this morning at school in Belgrade.
Yeah, and these kind of horrific attacks are very rare in the country, aren't they?
This is basically the first event of this kind in Serbia and in the Balkans. However, the problem of weapons and arms that are still somewhere in the houses of people in the Balkans is big after the wars in the 90s. Also, there was a lot of debate on whether all the arms and weapons is listed and registered and how it's kept and stored. And this event, that is the first of this kind, not only in Serbia but only in the Balkans, will certainly open a big discussion on what has been done in the past.
Yeah, what has the reaction been there to this shocking news?
It is still a lot of shock and a lot of silence, a lot of expectations. What are the life-threatening conditions for the other injured? How many victims are there going to be at the end? The Serbian government has scheduled a press conference in about 2 hours, where they would provide all the details that they came up with, and where also the educational authorities would have their say. But so far, we have only heard from the police that the official number of casualties so far is 8 dead students, 1 dead security guard, 6 people more are being treated in hospitals around Belgrade.
Alexander, stay with us. You are watching BBC News. We're going to have more on this story very shortly, but at this point we say goodbye to our viewers who are watching here in the UK on BBC Two. Plenty more on the BBC channel, so do tune over for that right now. Thanks very much for being with us. Alexander, let's just carry on that conversation. What more do we know about the person who's been arrested?
So far we know that he was born in 2009, that he was one of the students at the school, but we don't know more details than that. We saw him being arrested this morning in the schoolyard, 2 police officers taking him with his head covered so that his identity is protected. He's a minor, and taken by the police car to further investigation. We have no idea about the motives so far. We still don't know how he got the gun. However, there are speculations that that's the weapon that belongs to his parents. However, no confirmation on that yet. So it's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, and those answers are requested as soon as possible.
And I'm just looking at some comments online, what local media are saying and what parents are saying. One person said they saw kids running out from the school screaming and they heard several shots. This is completely shocking and something that I imagine people are struggling to come to terms with.
Of course, there are a lot of parents still standing in front of the school in the center of the Serbian capital, still waiting for the information about their kids, about what happened inside school, about what happened inside the classrooms, where they all took their kids this morning for a regular Wednesday morning classes. Today was the first working day in Serbia after a 2-day Labor Day holiday on May 1st and 2nd. So the kids had a short spring break, and basically today at 8 a.m. they were back to classrooms. Everything seemed like a very normal start of a school day until at around 8:40 local time. Close to the end of the first class, the student with initials KK, that's how police identified him so far, entered the school with a gun and started a shooting spree in the primary school.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us all of that information, updating us on that breaking news. Alexander Miladinovic, who has all of those details from Belgrade. Let's go to our Balkans correspondent, Guy Delaunay. And Guy, this story very much breaking and information coming in as we speak. What's the latest you're hearing about this?
Well, the latest we got is a statement from the Interior Ministry, and it's pretty grim. They say that 8 students and 1 member of staff at the Vladislav Ribnikar school have died in this attack, and that several others are injured and still being treated in hospital. So it's clearly, I mean, this is a terribly serious situation. The statement of the Interior Ministry says that they've arrested the student. They've given his initials as KK, that he was born in 2009, which would make him between 14 and 15 years old. And he was arrested in the schoolyard. They said that police officers are still on the ground and that they're working intensively to shed light on all the facts and circumstances that led to this tragedy. So just to recap there, 8 students and a security guard killed in this attack, according to the police.
And it certainly wasn't clear, Guy, when this incident started to unfold about the number of awful deaths, because when we first broke the story, it was understood that a security guard had been killed, but we've only just heard about the fact that sadly 8 children have lost their lives.
Well, there have been lots of reports coming out in the media, as you'd expect, and certainly different versions of events have been coming out as well, which is also as you'd expect. So we've had to be very careful about what we've been reporting until we've had news through officially from the authorities. But from the reports that we've been getting in from people who are on the scene, from parents of children, from children themselves, it does seem that the shooter went into the history class at the school, opened fire first of all on the teacher, and then turned his gun on other students in the class. And these were his classmates, according to the reports that we're seeing in local media. These were people that he was going to school with every day. On this particular day, he's turned up with a weapon and turned it on them.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific. What more do we know about the school, its location?
Well, the location is in Vračar, which is a central district of Belgrade. And this is in the older part of Belgrade, not on the new Belgrade side of the city, but it's very central. It's in a district which is close to a lot of embassies, and the UN has its headquarters on the same street in Belgrade as this particular school. And it seems that the student in question was a talented student, according to the media reports. He'd won numerous prizes for his prowess in mathematics and history. And there's a lot of surprise being expressed that this particular student might have been involved in this shooting.
And there's also some speculation and commentary online about the number of guns that are widely available in the country.
Well, if you look up the statistics about gun ownership worldwide, you'll see that Serbia ranks very highly in terms of developed countries and certainly in terms of Europe. Now, a lot of that is a legacy of Yugoslav times, where people were expected to have weapons at home in case they were needed to be mobilized, in case there was a conflict. And of course, we had the conflict in the 1990s where those weapons were indeed used. Since then, there hasn't been really a very efficient collection of all these weapons that are around. So gun ownership is very high. How many of those weapons are usable is another question, because a lot of them will have just been stored or put away for many years. And gun crime itself is pretty rare in Serbia. I mean, you find, I mean, in my more than 10 years in the region, I have never had an incident anything like this scale that I've reported on. So this is a very shocking event in Serbia, because gun crime is rare, and this sort of mass school shooting, I've not heard of one before.
Guy, thank you very much. Well, this is the main story on the BBC News live page. You can see all of the latest details, and it's very much developing, but we know that 9 people have been killed in this shooting at a primary school in Belgrade. The suspect is a 14-year-old boy. All the latest on our website there for you.